Community. Yeah, I know, I'm a broken record, but I'm a broken record because I'm right! I'm supposed to ramble incoherently for 15 minutes first. Like I'm an old lady telling you about how my mom used to make these cookies when you're just trying to get to the recipe. But yeah, community is pretty much it, but the rest of this video is going to be explaining why that is, and that might be interesting, and we're going to have to cover a lot of cool topics to get there. We're going to talk about the psychological utility of irony, especially in the modern day, especially on the internet. We're going to talk about what irony poisoning means, what makes someone irony poisoned, and how irony poisoning can be lethal. And we're going to talk about how you can mitigate and cure it. And because I'm an autodidact, I ain't citing no studies, I ain't citing no sources, except for this one, which I was cited in. Yes, it's an actual dissertation. There's my academic credentials, motherfucker, plus the 5 years of performance art. If I can't talk about this, I don't know who can. Part 1. The psychological utility of irony. Why does irony exist? Why does every sentence I speak seem to drip with it? Why does my mouth curl into a smile even when I'm trying to be serious? These questions are probably too broad for us to actually get to the bottom of, but let's just take one aspect of irony for a second and examine that. This aspect of irony is distance. The term ironic detachment exists for a reason. You are ironically detaching from what? From the situation that is causing you pain. Irony can be useful as a tool to disassociate from a bad situation. If you have to do or say something you really don't want to do, you can do it ironically. If you're going down a path that you know is bad, you can say you're going down that path ironically. It detaches you a little bit. It's a bit dissociative in that way. It makes doing things you don't like or don't want to be doing or don't feel are aligned with you a little bit more palatable. It's a bit of sugar to make the medicine go down. In the internet age, there is an endless stream of political causes and social movements and interpersonal things you could get involved with. Hypothetically, there's no shortage of causes to get behind. There's a lot of things you really should be caring about right now, huh? What if you don't want to care about all those things? Global warming, the earth is flat, the water will just fall over the side. And then, you know, in 15 years, you're like, eating the arm of your neighbor, thinking about how funny that joke was. So what am I getting at here, huh? Like, ironic detachment distances you from these issues that you should be caring about, and so the solution is to drop the irony and care about everything, right? Is that the thesis that I'm getting at here? No, you can't care about everything. You can't possibly meaningfully help all of these situations. Irony, as a defense mechanism in the modern day, not only makes total sense, it's kind of psychotic if you don't do it. Especially because some of the things you're supposed to care about are directly at odds with other things you're supposed to care about. Congratulations, you brought 500 million third world people out of poverty, but now their increased standard of living has led to climate change getting 80% worse, killing an extra 500 million people a year. Oh no! It seems like half the influencers have some scheme or some social cause or some political movement they want you to be a part of and think you should morally be a part of. And then the other half are just total nihilists, too afraid to alienate any part of their audience by saying anything important ever. And those people are worse. Way worse than the first group. Anti-centrism, baby. I was serious the whole time. But it's all a little psychotic, isn't it? Trying to care about too much, you get burned out, you put your walls up, and then you never step foot outside your house again. Metaphorically, but also literally. I'm using political movements here as an example, but this applies perfectly to small-scale things as well. If you keep an air of ironic detachment around your lover, when the two of you break up, it will hurt way less, because you're disassociated a little bit. The knife that plunged into your heart really only hit about 30% of you. The other 70%, you've astral projected halfway across the room. Irony shields you from the pain of association. It is a tool that you can use to protect yourself. The problem becomes when you forget how to turn this tool off. And this is what we call Part 2, irony poisoning. You see this smile on my face? I don't know how to turn this off anymore. It's just completely been woven into the way that I socially present. I am literally the Joker. Okay, I don't want to be the Joker. You think I want to be the Joker? I want to be Alistair from Hazbin Hotel, my new favorite show. Irony poisoning is a very recent definition of a very vibey concept. You kind of know what it's about when you hear it, but you don't get a concrete definition in your head. So here's my attempt at providing a concrete definition for irony poisoning. Irony poisoning is when irony becomes so ingrained in someone's personal identity because they've used it so much that they no longer know how to consciously turn it off. I think irony is a tool that you can and maybe even should use to disassociate from certain situations. Once you forget how to not disassociate from painful situations, guess what? You no longer know how to associate with situations that are good for you. Your defense mechanism worked too well, and now you don't know how to take it down. And I'm going to use this opportunity to talk about performance art, because this is a term that gets tossed around a lot, and I am often described as a performance artist. In my opinion, art is conscious, and the less conscious it is, the less artistic it is. The art part of that needs to be intentional. If you're just irony poisoned, it's no longer an intentional thing that you're doing. This is just how you are now. I think you're just irony poisoned and possibly coping about the fact that you're irony poisoned by framing yourself as a genius of some kind. You're not a genius. You have a sickness in your head. I would know! Part 3, how irony poisoning can be lethal. I love breaking up my video essays into parts. It makes me feel so special. And what I'm doing there is I'm addressing your criticism before you can make it. It's a defense mechanism. I wasn't even fully conscious that what I was doing there until I said it out loud. Now I'm explaining to you what I'm doing. If I'm self-aware about the thing, then you can't get me on the thing. And I'm immortal. I'm immune. I'm also inhuman. Irony poisoning is a very good name because at its worst, it can kill you. Like, you can literally get poisoned to death from irony. Irony poisoning can be lethal for the same reasons that loneliness is. You probably already have heard all this shit before. Loneliness is as bad as smoking. Irony poisoning erodes your ability to be able to associate with social causes that can help you find good people, or just with people in general that sometimes cause you pain, because that's what human relationships are like. Sometimes you cause each other pain and then you talk about it. You have a conversation about it, and then you work through it as human beings instead of going straight to twitter.com. Guess what? Associating with social causes is actually cool and good, and you probably should do it. If you are too ironically detached to associate with any groups, clubs, causes, or movements, then you are prohibiting yourself from the meaning behind life and the source of happiness, which, as my good friend Mr. Beat once said,
"The secret to happiness is finding your purpose in a community."
Wow, what a great short. That's all he had to say, and that's all he said, and then he went away. He didn't yap about it for 15 minutes like I am. And even if you're skeptical about this advice coming from an extrovert, like, obviously, you know, I'm recommending you go out and find people. I like people. Here's an argument for you introverts, or those of you in denial about being introverts out there, okay? You're also lying to yourself. You're not just distancing yourself from other people and causing fractures within the group. You are also fracturing yourself. You are both the being that is being harmed and the being that is disassociating from the harm. Schizophrenia literally translates to split mind. I would say maybe don't act out the literal definition of schizophrenia consciously if you want to have a healthy life. Maybe. Irony poisoning won't kill you directly. It will still kill you, though. It will isolate you, make you sad, make your life meaningless, and then when you die of a death of despair, that's what's going to have contributed to it. That's like a lethal amount of irony poisoning. Part 4, how to cure irony poisoning. Community. Did you think I would change my answer halfway through? When you begin a community, or you engage with a community, and you start interacting with real flesh-space human beings, you slowly start building up trust with multiple people that you interact with in real time. If this is a positive, generative community, although, you know, if you have no community, maybe a horrifying death cult is still better than nothing. And the people who engage in your community will eventually want to provide value to you, and share with you, and have you provide value to them, and you share with them, trust you, get to know you, love you. You will become socially defined in a way in what value you can bring to others. And in being socially defined, you will find out who you are. You will associate. You will know who you are based off of who others need you to be, partially. That's a scary thought. Guess what? You're already being socially defined. You're just being socially defined as like a schizoid right now because you got no homies. And as these things happen, as you become ingratiated in your community, as you start providing value to others and they start providing value to you, you will notice your guard come down. You will notice you start to trust these people. You start to open up to these people. You start to love these people. And if your irony poisoning isn't terminal yet, it will definitely decrease. It might go away entirely. And that doesn't mean you'll never be ironic again. It just means you'll know how to use it. You'll know how to be sincere at times like I'm being now, but also know how to use it to disassociate from situations when you choose to disassociate from those situations. Okay? I am not lonely anymore. I complained about loneliness a lot on this channel. I whined, I would say, about loneliness. But I complained about it because I was so deeply aware of the problem that I knew I had to do something about it in order to make myself feel better about it. So I did. It just took years of thinking about it, suffering, building a community, failing, building more communities, failing. And eventually I did manage to actually stick a community here in Toronto, which is really cool and I really like being a part of, and everyone who's a part of it really likes being a part of it, and I'm meeting new people like every day. But just to make this hit home a little bit more, I had a community event, as I have many these days, and as I was walking home from it, I felt something I had never felt before. I was, in that moment, no longer neutral towards my own death. Now, maybe the schizoids in the audience will immediately understand what I'm saying here, but let that sink in. I made
rock and be chill if I got doxed and killed, if I got stalked and filled with lead, I would not mind being dead.
I doxed myself and I told people to come to my location at a specific time to kill me. You don't do that shit if you don't at least feel neutrally about your own death. But in that moment, reflecting on my community, reflecting on what was built, reflecting on my role in it, reflecting on the people that relied on me now and loved me now, and the people that I loved, it was almost too much. It was almost too meaningful, and I thought to myself, I no longer want to kill myself publicly on stage for my 100th live show. Would have been a banger idea. Someone should still do that. Just not going to be me anymore. I want to live. I want to meet more people. I want to brainstorm with more people. I want to make new kinds of art with new kinds of folks. I want to love. I want to be loved. I want to be heartbroken. I want to regret everything I'm saying here in a fit of depression that comes the day after, and then realize my baseline bounces back up to what I'm saying now. And I definitely want to brag about the fact that I did it without pharmaceutical medication, even though I probably should have been on pharmaceutical medication. And I have felt and will feel absolutely all the problems that community comes with, like broken trust and heartbreak. I will feel betrayal. I'm sure I will inflict plenty of pain upon plenty of people, just as they inflict pain upon me. That's how human interactions work. When do we forget that was a part of it? Finding community will not solve your problems. It'll just make your problems more bearable. And it will also give you better problems. I want you to have those problems. Those are good problems. I don't feel purposeless and nihilistic and confused. And to the extent that I do still feel all of those things, they're way more of just like passing thoughts and emotions rather than my actual baseline egoistic state. And I still use irony to disassociate myself in circumstances when I don't want to associate, and that's fine too, because I'm doing it consciously. I still have this smile that pops up on my face whenever I try to talk about serious things, but I guess I'm not totally cured. But you know, it's definitely a lot better than it was. Part 5, how to get community. Okay, so I was going to end this video with an explanation for like how you can go and get community yourself. And then I realized, like, I don't know, actually, how to do that. I mean, for me, it took years of trial and error. I suffered so much for so long, and I thought about it for so long, and I tried so many different things, and that was just for me. So if I were to give you advice, and I don't even know who you are, I'm looking at myself on the viewfinder, I don't know how that, I don't know. I've helped people find communities one-on-one, but it takes a while on my end and on their end in order to help push them in that direction. So I can't say how you, in your own personal experience, can find community. I can say, though, it shouldn't have to be this hard. I really don't believe that it should be this hard to do. I don't think it's your fault for not being born into a community, okay? We don't have to live in a society where it's this hard. We don't have to contribute to a society where it gets harder. Maybe if some social attitudes were changed a little bit, maybe it wouldn't be so hard. I hope our generation and the generations younger than us put in real work to at least make this problem not as bad. Or at least not make it any worse. That's where my bar is. I'm not even holding my breath that will make this bar of not making things worse due to all the comments that are like, this is your worst take. I can't believe that you like other people. But boy, oh boy, I'm gonna try because my new will to power is just loving and meeting people and talking about the importance of it. I really wish that Nietzschean Ubermensch stuff was like represented by a guy who like hugs his friend. Okay, let me end this video by addressing something I hear a lot on this channel, which is like, people view me as this guy who like is always on and never breaks character. He's ironic all the time. He's so committed to the bit. But I just want to make this really clear. I am very genuine and loving with the people who are in my real life. For people that I don't know or don't trust, yeah, I mean, maybe irony is sometimes a tool I will use in order to get some privacy and distance from those people. But for the people who are in my life, especially people who are in my physical proximity, I'm very open and very loving. And I think that's an important thing to be. I use irony plenty of times to deal with people that I don't know or trust, to express confused or garbled thoughts about something, to create spectacle, and to express genuine ideas in a fun way. But I do bring it down from time to time, and I'm getting better at bringing it down from time to time, because it's not just a wall that needs to stay up all the time. And in fact, knowing how to bring it down is what makes you not irony poisoned. And I don't want to be irony poisoned, because that kills you. And it's killed my colleague, and I don't know, that's like a good reminder to not do it. Okay? Makes sense? You really don't have to be on the same page as me here. In fact, you should comment, hey, good one, Greg. Nice acting. Good acting on that one.